What's up, YouTube fragrance family? Tommy with Studio Sins here. Really happy that you stopped by to check out today's video because I'm going to be talking about one of my absolute favorite cold weather, or some people call it winter, fragrance that's been produced in the last several years. But some people don't really like cold weather. I myself am not really attuned to cold weather. I would rather have temperate. It exists, so you got to deal with it. And one of the best ways of dealing with it in terms of fragrance is to pull out those fragrances that feature those notes that are very rich, warm, comforting, inviting, and just like the jacket you put on to go outside, feels like you're wearing something substantial. So when we come back, we're going to take a closer look at a fragrance from Salvatore Ferragamo Uomo Signature. That and more is coming up, so stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone, and welcome to today's video. We're going to be looking at a fragrance that I have such a great track record with since it came out in, I believe, relatively early in 2019. Salvatore Ferragamo's Uomo Signature has been an epic fragrance. It's actually been growing in popularity the more that people get familiar with the fragrance itself. Now, this isn't the very first Uomo to come out. As many of you know, the very first fragrance was simply named Uomo. Uomo itself is an epic flagship fragrance from Salvatore. Extremely warm, welcoming, inviting. It is a gourmand fragrance featuring tiramisu. It's actually an Italian dessert, and it goes perfect with coffee. Speaking of which, one of the main ingredients of Uomo Signature is coffee. But before we jump into what kind of notes are in this fragrance and what it smells like, let's take a brief look at the presentation. The bottle style of Uomo Signature is really nice. Now, it does come with this tab that prevents the top from being depressed. You remove this piece here, and many people throw this away, and that's perfectly fine. I elected to keep mine because if you decide to travel, it's really nice to keep this from being pushed down because, again, this isn't a lid, it's the atomizer. It's all kind of one piece. So it's circular here. You've got your spray nozzle in the very front. It doesn't turn like some Bulgari, so it doesn't actually lock. On the very front, you've got Uomo in white lettering. On the very sides, this kind of funky looking Ferragamo on this side and Ferragamo on this side. Some people don't like that, but I'll show you kind of on the splash page of Salvatore Ferragamo. This is the actual design that it's mimicking, and it's kind of cool. It's just kind of a nod to Ferragamo being a design house, being that this is a graphic design, so it's really cool. Now, the bottle looks like you can't see through it, but actually, if you have light in front of it, a little bit opaque, but you can still see the level of juice. I've used about this much juice in my bottle, even though you can't really tell. The bottle itself is very well made, very heavy, great looking bottle. The bottom's got kind of a dip here. It's kind of a horseshoe or U that's elongated. You've got your sticker and your batch code. Now, the bottle itself is 3.4 fluid ounces, which is 100 ml, and it is an eau de parfum concentration. Now that we've talked about the presentation a little bit, let's go into the note breakdown. What kind of notes make up Uomo Signature? Salvatore Ferragamo Uomo Signature features top notes of Italian mandarin orange and pink pepper, with heart notes of cypress, green cardamom, and cinnamon, resting on a base of patchouli, tonka bean, leather, and roasted coffee beans. Kind of get an idea of the direction it's going. Anything that's going to have coffee in it, you know, is going to be surrounded by supportive notes that just enrichen the value of that olfactive sense of coffee, especially roasted coffee beans. I did a video not long ago about coffee-oriented or centered fragrances. I'll go ahead and post that above me here in case you didn't get a chance to check that out so that you can check it out. But coffee is one of those fragrance notes that everybody absolutely loves, whether you drink coffee or not, whether you like the drink coffee or not. It's one of those fragrance smells or aromas that's just super eye-opening. It's kind of like a universal potpourri, welcoming kind of smell. Everybody likes the smell when they walk into Starbucks. Well, what about Uomo Signature? And I'm going to go ahead and spray a couple of sprays here to give you guys an idea of what it looks like coming out of the... It's rather hard sometimes to depress this lid and atomizer combo, but once you get the hang of it, push down, it sprays out a ton of juice. It's one of the best combinations of leather, coffee, cardamom, patchouli, tonka bean. Such a smooth, rich, dark blend, similar to the bottle that it's in. When you first spray it on, it's got this nice, rich, dark aura to it. Like a lot of fragrances that put some lighter notes in the top, so that at the top of the pyramid, you get that kind of nice welcoming handshake. This one doesn't really have that. It goes straight to the center of that patchouli, coffee, tonka bean, leather combination, and it gives you an idea of how this fragrance is going to last. If you like the smell of roasted coffee, you don't just get specifically coffee. When you combine the cardamom, the tonka bean, the coffee, and the leather, there's a kind of light resinous richness that deepens and darkens over time, and in that final dry down, you're left with an extremely masculine fragrance that has just a light bit of bravado and just a bit of playfulness to where it's perfect for any scenario, any situation in the colder seasons. The fragrance also doesn't hang heavy in terms of sweetness. It's got just the right amount, a comfortable level of sweetness to it that is not overbearing, not super heavy, and yet not so light that you don't catch that dark sweet center later on. It's not one of those eau de parfums that sits very close to the skin. It is a little bit weightier because of the higher concentration of oils, but it projects tremendously. This one for me and for a lot of people projects very, very well. I would say for the first hour and a half to 2 hours, you get a really nice scent trail or bubble. The performance of Uomo Signature is spot on. It is absolutely what I term a winter banger. You don't want to over apply it, but you don't want to be too shy either. 3 to 4 to maybe 5 sprays tops, depending upon the situation, will certainly be plenty on your skin. Uomo was released in 2016, 2017, Casual Life, 2018, Urban Feel was released, and then 2019 came Signature. All 4 of these fragrances are getting harder and harder to find. It looks like that Urban Feel, Casual Life, and Uomo may be discontinued in the very near future simply because a lot of discounters are running out of them, especially Signature being the 4th and final release. Was hoping we would see another release to add to the 4 fragrances and breathe new life into the line, but it doesn't look like they're going to do that anytime soon. And so Uomo Signature is getting harder and harder to find. It's kind of one of the reasons I wanted to do this review of the fragrance, because if you don't own a bottle of Uomo Signature, you will definitely want to grab one up right now, because who knows when you're going to see this again in the future, and who knows when it's actually going to be discontinued. Because I'm certainly getting discontinued vibes from Ferragamo and from discounters who used to carry this in surplus. Now it's again getting more and more scarce. Now, one thing I want to caution you about is Uomo has been re-released in a limited edition, Uomo being the flagship fragrance, the very first in the 4 releases, and it looks very similar to Uomo Signature. It is an all black bottle. It's the same design with the Ferragamo going down the sides there. It's got a little bit of gold filigree on each corner of the bottle. While I think the original Uomo is a fantastic fragrance, definitely worth owning, don't grab that one thinking that it's Uomo Signature. It would be easy to make that mistake. The fragrance itself feels like a wholly casual fragrance, but it also carries itself in such a way, has a kind of refinement that it would be perfect to use in an upscale environment. So it's one of the more versatile cold weather or winter fragrances, one of those rare birds that comes along once in a while and is an absolute banger in pretty much all areas. Well guys, that's it for my brief review. I say brief because again, it's one of those fragrances that you just want to talk more and more about because it's such a great fragrance in terms of production value. It's one of those fragrances that ticks all the boxes and sets a precedent for other design houses out there. Again, just kind of a cautionary recommendation. If you don't own a bottle, you might want to grab it up now because it does look like they may be discontinuing it in the future. Thanks again for stopping by and checking out today's review. And as always, thank you so much for your support on my channel. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you tomorrow.